Hey, how we doing? This week's episode is a little bit long. I'm actually doing 2 in 1. It took me about twice as long to make it what I want it to be, but I hope you enjoy it.
Make them fall in love. Woo! Thank you guys. That's our last song. No.
But what a song to go out on.
Hey, you enjoying your time at this farmer's market?
I am enjoying my time here. I love this farmer's market.
This farmer's market is pretty great.
It's awesome. There's everything.
Literally everything. Everything good.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's like when you first meet a person and it seems like in your first encounter with them, you know everything there is to know about them and you feel like they literally know nothing at all about you. Like all they're talking about over and over again is their victim story. Well, I personally generally hate that. Like I try to avoid that. And I think part of the problem is that for me, that almost makes me not talk about myself. It's pretty much been my general policy that I'm probably not going to share something with you about my life story or like a hard time that I've had in my life unless you just shared something with me about what you're going through and I'm doing it as a way to kind of be sympathetic. But I think to some extent, never sharing anything personal is a great way to never really establish a personal connection with people. And that's not really good or healthy. So I kind of want to break that cycle by starting out and just telling you my story and getting some of the stuff out of the way and then kind of catching you up on who and what I've become over my life. But I don't define myself based on my past, and that's why in general I'm reluctant to tell these stories. Like I don't want you to know me as the person who has had all these things happen to me. I want you to know me as the person I want to be. I want you to know me as the person who's passionate about certain things, that's working on certain projects. I want you to know me based on my best intentions and desires of who I want to be, not just the things that have happened to me. By the way, right now, we're going to the store and we're gonna get the makings for some sandwiches, and that's what we're gonna be making here pretty soon. And oh, it can't come soon enough because I'm freaking hungry. So I am really excited to try this beef jerky. It is sriracha maple jerky. That sounds so good. So good. You know. Let's try it. Not for you, not for you. I know I was talking it up. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's so good. What is it made of, you're wondering? I'm wondering too. Textured soy protein, tamari, sriracha, pepper puree, water, cayenne pepper, maple syrup, olive oil, spices containing vinegar and natural smoke flavor. There's a good amount in there too, see that? Like a lot of these things, they don't come through, they don't deliver in terms of the amount. But, that is good. That's real good.
And these are the ingredients of the vegetable sandwich.
So one thing I can tell you right off the top is that sprouted bread is always better. I'm not going to go on a long spiel about it, but sprouted is where it's at.
The outer shell of each grain acts as a protective barrier, like a safe in a bank, protecting its bounty of vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients until it's ready to sprout and grow. Sprouting is the key to unlocking the whole grain nutrition found inside.
All right, first things first. We want to toast up these buns. So I'm going to go ahead, pull them apart, toss these in here. Better.
So really, we're not going to be using all these peppers. What we can do is we can save a lot of them and use them for the next time we make sandwiches, and then we won't have to recut them. I do like the red onion because it's got a little bit more powerful of a taste. You don't need to use a lot. In fact, one small slice like this will probably do it for two. All right, now I'm just cutting up this one mushroom that I got. I only got one because I don't really need a lot. I only got one tomato too. I'm not a big tomato fan, so that's for Alyssa. And Alyssa's not a big jalapeno fan, so that's for me. You gotta be careful with jalapenos. You don't want to cut up a jalapeno and then touch your face or something. Let's build vegan pesto. Now, you might be like, well, why wouldn't pesto be vegan? A lot of times they put Parmesan in it. And I like to be generous with the hummus. The hummus is basically the glue that's holding this sandwich together. It's like the base of this whole thing, so don't be stingy with the hummus. I think this is a good time to put the hot sauce. And as always, I'm having the sriracha and she's having the Cholula. Now remember when you're making this, that you're building it in a way where you're gonna have to put the two sides together, so it's something to definitely keep in mind. When I was a meat eater, I would have never wanted this. I would have been like, there's no way I'm gonna like that. But let me tell you, it's actually really, really good. The flavors of the hummus and the pesto, as well as the crispness and the wateriness of the fresh vegetables, oh, it really pops in your mouth, it's so good. See how all that piles up so quick? And now to cut them in half. A sandwich is never done until it's cut in half.
Let's try it out.
I need her assistance.
Oh yeah, you see that?
To modify their projections.
That's what the inside of a sandwich should look like. It's a really great snack. Really good.
And now for our feature presentation.
All right, trying this out. Never done anything like this quite before. I'm like the weatherman of my life. So let's see. I've moved around a whole lot. I was born in Florida. My dad's dad, my grandpa, who I didn't really know that well, he's from Florida as well, and he's kind of a womanizing, selfish jerk himself. And so my dad comes by it honestly, but he had a horrible life. He was on his own by the time he was like 15, and he became a hustler. That's why he's kind of like a con man type dude, is because he had to hustle. And he hustled his way from being homeless at 15 to some like pretty fancy gigs like this. And I was well on my way to be a spoiled little rich bastard, right? Thankfully, it didn't quite go down like that. My dad, being the kind of con man that he is, I guess, had some shady deals, and we had to book it to Nevada. I also have a sister. She is 3 years younger than me, so she would have been born in Florida too. I remember when we first got to Nevada, that was my first time I'd ever seen snow, and my lips got all chapped, and it was terrible because it's so moist and humid in Florida versus the dry desert of Nevada. This is really my first house that I have some memories at. Let's cut to 20-year-old David.
This is the house I used to live in. We moved here when I was 5. And then we moved away when I was like 13.
I used to walk to school from here. I used to climb that mountain up there. I used to ride my bike all around this area. I remember this area very well. It's kind of eerie to be flying all around these places. My parents' upholstery shop was back that way. We lived here for a little while before the law caught up with my dad and he got taken to jail. My mom saw this as her golden opportunity to bounce. I mean, it was well deserved. The way she tells it is that she went to go visit him at jail, and he and another felon were like planning a new business and they were going to put it in their wives' names. And she did not want to go to jail, right? So she was pretty much done with that. She didn't want to go along with it, and he said something to her like, if you're not going to do this for me, then what good are you? She's like, well, what good am I? Well, I guess what good am I? Anyways, she left him the house, she left him the business, she just wanted to be done with him. Like, she gave him pretty much everything and like dipped to this shitty little trailer in Washoe Valley. You can't even see it anymore, it's probably not even there. It was like really gross, really bad. This one in particular, I did get my own room, but it was like literally the size of my twin size bed. Tiny little trailer. Some of my earliest life memories are around the trauma around this divorce. It's kind of a messed up situation. We're being real honest here. My mom talked to me a little bit too much. She treated me a little bit too much like an adult, and I became kind of like her therapist at way too young of an age. Very inappropriate. But it did make me a more mature person to some extent, maybe a more messed up person too. Anyways, she came to me and said something like, I want to divorce your dad. What do you think? She's like, I really want to leave him, but I'll stay with him for you if you want me to. And I was like, you can't stay with him for me. You're a grown woman. Like, if you feel like you need to leave, I'll respect your decision. Something like that. If that's what you feel like you need to do, then you should do it, basically is what I told her. When my dad did finally get out of jail, he was crazy, really crazy. He was freaking out about losing his family, and he manipulated my sister and me into making it our job to try to get my mom to come back to him. And remember, I was the one who told her that she should leave. I blamed myself for a long time. I saw him be so upset. It was like really, really hard for me. I felt like it was my fault, but then he also made it my job to get her to come back. He made us make a videotape for her, and he basically told us everything to say. He would like brief us before we would go over to like see her. I used to pretend like I was sleeping when he would drive us back. I would close one eye, lean up against the window so I could still look out the window. Then maybe he wouldn't talk to me about trying to get her to come back. The straw that broke the camel's back. One night, he like recorded a little bit of the Christian radio, and then he recorded his own voice, pretending to be God, telling me and my sister that it was our job to get my mom to come back. It really fucked with me. And I kind of knew it was him because it was his voice, you know, and I asked him about it, and he said, well, God says that he speaks in a familiar voice, but don't say that again. Don't tell anybody that. Really messed up that he would manipulate his kids like that. Really messed up. And then I remember one time he was taking me and my sister home, and he said something to me like, if you don't get your mom to come back with you this time, don't come back at all. I think he said, I'm not even your dad anymore. He was a horrible bastard. This really fucked with me. I told my mom about it, and that's when she filed a restraining order against him. So we moved to Reno for a while, and we hid. And I didn't hear from him for a while. Like, we had to go to court and stuff. Soon after that, my mom moved to a different place back in Washoe Valley, I guess probably to try and keep me and my sister in the same school, and probably because it was cheaper. And she was on welfare, working full-time, trying to make enough money for her kids. So I was out running around, roaming about, doing stuff, building forts and all kinds of things. It was around this time when I started hanging out with more of these kids from the projects in Reno. Like, we went to the church in Reno, and so I knew a lot of those kids. And that's when I went from listening to like mainstream rap, like MC Hammer and like Vanilla Ice, to like more gangster rap, especially West Coast rap, like Death Row rap, like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre and all that kind of stuff. That was what was going on back then. And that's when I first started MCing with my church and with some of these other kids. We would go around and we would do performances, and that was like my first taste of rapping on stage. So I was a rapper before I was ever a musician. Check this out. Sophia just came out to say hello. Sophia, we're flying around the world. We're flying all around the world. Puppy girl. She just likes to be at my feet. Let's fly back to Carson City. A few months later, I got to see him again, and he had a new girlfriend, and it was some girl from church, crazy lady. She had 3 kids, and they stayed right around here, which was kind of close to my original home in Carson. That home got foreclosed and taken. My dad lost the business. There was never like a let's sit down and talk about it kind of thing with my dad. It was just like he dropped it and we never spoke of it again, at least not for a while. At this point, I think he was trying to be kind of like Disneyland dad, and he had this awesome idea about starting a family fun center, like a community center with laser tag and video games and dances and pool tables and a restaurant and movie theater. Him and this lady that he lived with, they set themselves up in this spot right here. It's weird, like this gap between the buildings here, that wasn't there. There was a full building, like in an L. Half of this Lowe's was the Family Fun Center laser tag place. And for a while, I slept in the briefing room for the laser tag while they were building that place. That was pretty interesting. It was pretty cool, actually. It was like right at the right time in my life for me to really be able to enjoy something like that. I used to have the key to the video game machines, and I could go around and ding, 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 give myself a bunch of credits and play video games. For one of my birthdays, I had a sleepover in the laser tag arena. It was pretty cool. And it was actually one of my first jobs. I used to DJ at the dances, so that's when I got more into being a DJ. It started off with 2 CD players and a mixer, but over time I learned how to take it further and do some things with some records and stuff like that, and I started to get a big respect for DJing, especially in the more old school sense of DJing. That was actually probably one of the high points of my life. It was around this time. We stayed in here, and then further back there, my dad got a townhouse for a minute once this place opened up, and then my mom moved across town, and I was going to school there. It was when we were living here that my mom met her now husband, and they moved to Gardnerville together, and they got this place right down here. Then after a while, we moved a little bit closer to the school right over here. I wasn't cool in this school until the last day. I DJ'd the last end of the year dance. And then everyone was like, oh, David, you're cool, blah, 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 but school was over. So even though I was cool after that, I never got to really like bask in it. Bask in it. Bask in it. But 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 bask in it. I never got to bask in it. Never got to bask in it. I'm basking it. I'm basking it. Oh, basking it. I'm basking it.
Bask in it. Never got to bask in it. No bask in it. No bask in it. So my dad and his girlfriend broke up, and he moved the Family Fun Center to Reno where he thought it would make more money. I was going to high school back here, and then right about here is where the Family Fun Center was. So this big area up in here is where the actual fun center was, which was actually pretty freaking big on the inside. And this little bit over here, these were like little offices, and we stayed in the back in like a little room with a mattress on the floor. And I have to confess, my dad, even though he's kind of a con man, salesman type of dude, the fact that he could plan this, envision it, and make it happen did really impress me. The way he believed in his dream and made it come true, that stuck with me. My mom, she's a very hard worker, but my dad is a visionary. My mom, she's like, David, you need to work hard and get a good job doing something that pays well so that way you'll be all right. It's like, look, I don't just want to be all right. I'm not living my life to be all right. I don't want to just settle for mediocre. I want to live life courageously. I want to really do something with my life. I want to follow my passions. I don't mean like my passions just like what I like, but like the things that I care about, the things that move me. Most art, I feel, comes from a place of deep care. That's what I mean about following your passion. My mom is trying to be safe and comfortable. She's very happy fitting in. This kind of family dynamic, these two narratives, mediocrity and comfort versus like high risk, creative vision, and that's my plan A. I'm all in. For me, it's art or die. Hopefully money will come, but I'm doing my art, period. Hopefully I can figure out a way to make a living, go to school and all that, but no matter what, I'm making my art. I'm doing my thing to try to bring my value to the world. If I don't do that, I feel like I'm not really being responsible. I've had a strange relationship with work. I pretty much have kept it as a plan B, and that's why I don't have a good job and why I struggle so hard. My mom is the responsible one. My dad is the irresponsible one. My dad's like, yeah, you don't gotta do homework. They should make you do that in school. They already got you for so many hours. Don't come and waste my time with that. If you can't do it there, don't do it. As much as I say he inspired me, he also gave me kind of a reverse, twisted view of work too. To really be successful, even at something creative, is to wake up every day and have to do the work. There's still grind. He's wrong about a lot of things when it comes to creativity and all that kind of stuff too. I'm not saying that I agree with him about everything. Finally, after this place shuts down, my dad moves to Dayton, Nevada, and we live with the guy in his trailer who sells us the video games. And you can see behind his house is this even much bigger trailer filled with pool tables and video games and all that kind of stuff. When my dad was living in this place, he dated a couple ladies. One of them was like way older than him. She was probably almost 70. And then another one was only a few years older than me. It was very strange. Not that I had much respect for him anyways, but I kind of like, geez, Dad, wow. I was in high school at the time, and my dad, he's like, you know, you can take a test and then you don't have to go to school anymore, and it counts the same as graduating. So you can spend another 2 years in school, or you can just take this test and be done with it, and then you can go straight to college. I'm like, really? Well, bring me this test. I'm thinking I'm gonna get out of school, and then I'm gonna be able to like hang out with my friends. It's gonna be like, that is not what happened. We wound up moving to California and with my dad's newest girlfriend that he met through delivering a video game to, and now she's gonna like let him stay with her while he remodels her house and they hook up, I guess. And so we moved out there. I started sleeping in the basement, hanging out with her two kids who were a little bit older than me, and they were kind of bad kids. Might have been a slightly bad influence on me, if you know what I mean. That's when I first started smoking weed, is what I'm trying to say. So I also got a job down there. It was pretty cool for a while, but you know how these things end? This isn't the actual house. I don't remember the address. It was something like this. This is the right area. So it was actually at this place where I asked my dad. I was like, so what's the deal with all that you pretending to be God stuff? How could you do that? Yeah, it took me a long time to get the courage to ask him. And I was crying. And he denied it. He basically was trying to tell me like it never happened. And I was basically just like, really? Really, that's how you're gonna handle it? So anyways, all that fell through, and then we moved out to Florida to live with his brother in his garage in this place. North Fort Myers on a canal. That was really interesting for me. Me and my dad are sleeping on couches in the garage. My dad basically became like his dad, whereas my uncle was doing the opposite thing, the more like hunker down, family man, like never leaves the house, in the dirt and rock business, doing all right for himself. So by this time, I'm pretty ready to be done with my dad. I'm 17. I'm thinking like, what do I gotta do to get out of here? For a minute, I go back up and I live with my mom. And then I come back to Florida again. That doesn't really work out, so I actually drove to Nevada, stayed back out there for a little bit, but nothing was really the same. I didn't stay there for very long, wound up driving back. That's when I learned you can't go back. It was actually at that point when I was in Nevada for the few months or whatever that 9/11 happened. So after that, I got my own place. I moved into an apartment with a dude who I started a band with. Our band's name was Finding a Way. I played guitar and sang, wrote some songs and stuff. My friend played guitar as well. We would write songs together. And I also met a girl who would become my wife, and then, later my wife. I met her, we were both Christian at the time. We went to a youth group together and we hung out a little bit. She showed me some of the songs that she wrote and that she had an amazing voice. And so we started making music together. And our project was called 50 Cent Trade.
Check it out. I don't have a lot from that time, but I do have this press pack I found. The CD on the inside, the sticker and everything. Pictures of me and Candy and some reviews and stuff. Like there's me and Candy back in the day.
We were doing pretty good. We got married and we moved into this condo that was my dad's condo, but then he gave it to us as a wedding present. Being the nice guy that he is, I was paying my bills to him every month, but he was just pocketing that money until it got foreclosed upon. And so we had to move out of there and we got an apartment. While we were living in these apartments in Florida, in the years after 9/11, there were tons of those yellow ribbons around that said support your troops. I used to steal those and spray paint them white and then write on them something like one human family or love one another or something like that. And then I would swap them. So I had a bunch of the white ones and I would go around and I would take the one and put the other. And the idea was not just to take your thing down, but to take the supporting the troops down and to put up a message of peace that we should all agree with and see if they'll leave it up or if they're going to consciously choose to take down love one another or one human family. Then they're committing a conscious act of taking that down, trying to get in their minds a little bit. Didn't want to just do something destructive. I wanted to do something to make people think. And it was cool to see some of those white ribbons driving around the town. I would always get excited when I would see one. And we were not really feeling Fort Myers anymore. We had gone up to visit my mom and we were both thinking about going up that way. So we went up there and stayed with her for a while, playing some music up there. And I want to say that it was really up there that I started to have my first kind of existential crisis, where I was really starting to wonder, what does it all mean? I don't know if I really believe in God anymore, stuff like that. And it wasn't actually this place, although she did live in this place for a minute. It was a place kind of up around the road from here, but you can't see it because it's covered in trees. So I'll just show you this part. So around that time, when I was losing my faith, we decided to move back to Florida again. I think I was going to go back out there, maybe try to start doing some more music, do something different. I was excited to hang out with my friend Kevin, who I had kind of met before, but I didn't really get the chance to really connect with him until after I came back. And it was like, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's when I started to really have my like mind explosion type stuff, which we talked about in the last episode. I lived in all different spots in this house. There's like 5 different apartments in this house, and I knew most of the people who live there. And there's like a middle hallway that connects a lot of the places through inner doors. We were all friends in that place, and that was like a really cool kind of treehouse place to live. There was a lot of inspiring art going on there a lot of the time. It was really cool. That's where I started really making videos and experimenting. That's where I really started doing art and painting. It was like as my mind started to wake up, I started to like expand into other types of creative mediums. I used to draw a lot, you know, throughout my whole life. I was always like really artistic, but there for a while, music just consumed me. I love music. It was around this time at this house that I started that jam band, Good Mean Scholars, and there's a video of that I can put here and down in the description. This was a really happy time in my life. The more Candy and I started to wake up and go veg and go vegan and think about more of these existential ideas and study and grow, we wanted to move to a place where those things were more happening. Florida, people advertised it like it's like a tropical paradise or something, but it is not. That is false advertisement. It is a swamp. It is filled with old people. If you want to go into nature, you need to go to the nature center and buy a ticket, and they're all roped off, and don't go off the trail or you'll wander out into some kind of golf course. There's tons of strip malls and gated communities. The general altitude is like traditional worldviews and modern worldviews. There's very little postmodern thinking going on around that area. Lots of old, stubborn, racist, ignorant people. I'm sorry if you live in Florida, and yeah, I'm sorry if you live in Florida. So, a good friend of mine, we always used to jam out, and he was from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and he was like, listen, I'm getting out of here too. I'm moving to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Why don't y'all come stay with me until you get on your feet? So we did. We moved out to Fayetteville, Arkansas. We stayed with a couple friends in a couple places on the south side of town, and then eventually we got our own place here. And I'd love to show you a different shot of it, but if I show you from the other direction, it just looks like a giant pile of trees. Candy and I stayed there for a while, and this is around the time that she started picking up the guitar and writing her own album, making her own solo project. And I was working on my own solo project. And so we went from working on music together to like working on music apart, but still helping each other. And that's really good for her. It was also really good for me. I got to be creative and go in a completely new direction that I'd never really gone in before. So it was around this time that I was really starting to miss Kevin and really wanting to work on some big picture projects. And I was getting really excited about trying to bring philosophy stuff into the world, and I really wanted his help with some of that. So we moved back to Florida. He had moved up to Jacksonville and he was going to college up there. He was just really busy with college, and I wasn't really feeling our collaboration at the time. And I was feeling more and more like I needed to do it by myself. I always want to like have a project with someone to work on something, because then it's like we have a set time in a day and we're going to go and we're going to sit down and we're going to work on it and we can hold each other accountable. It's so much harder to do something when you have to do it alone, but a lot of things you do have to do alone. It's just how it is. So that wasn't really working out. So Candy and I, we moved back to Fayetteville. Candy, like me, was also having this kind of inner crisis between my art or die worldview and her parents' very Christian, very conservative, waspy kind of go to school and be a pharmacist and make good money and do that, versus her really doing her art and following her passion and all that, which is what I was trying to push her to. I think she just came to a breaking point. I mean, which isn't to say I don't have my problems. There's tons of things I'm not great at. And also I do think that when you're married, you have a tendency to be like, oh, I got this, it's locked down, it's all good, it's forever. Like me and my lady, we have something special, it's forever. I actually kind of feel like that was my last superstition that got broken. And so eventually we broke up. And to be honest with you, this was pretty devastating to me. I did like a lot of my adult growing up with her. And to some extent, she gave me a foundation through her love and support to be able to continue to grow. I know that I helped her to come out of her shell. A lot of people say that when you get divorced, that maybe that's like a failure. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think I was a good influence on her life for a while. I helped her a lot and she helped me a lot. And then we weren't so good for each other anymore. We weren't helping each other. Maybe we needed to grow past each other. And she's remarried now. She's doing really well. She's about to have a baby. I'm really happy for her. I don't personally want to have a baby. And so, you know, I'm glad that she's doing that and I'm not. At this point, when we broke up, I was pretty devastated. I pretty much left everything I had except for what I could like fit into my car. And I drove up to Burlington and lived with my mom for a minute. Got a job until, I gotta say, it took me a while to find a place in Burlington. Burlington is expensive. I was the head cashier at Barnes & Noble. And I wasn't even making $10 an hour. But eventually, you know, I met this girl who I really liked named Joy, who worked in the cafe at Barnes & Noble, and we hit it off. We got together, and we moved into this place right here. By the way, this place down here has awesome vegan food in it. They have the best vegan breakfast sandwich I've ever had. And it was cold. And it was expensive. It was me, my girlfriend Joy, and we had one roommate. And we shared this place that was actually half of this like small little duplex. There were 2 rooms downstairs and 1 room upstairs. And it was $1,500 a month. Just to put that in context, this 1 bedroom I'm staying in now is like $470. So me and my girlfriend were each paying $500 a month to rent the downstairs of this place. That's why I was like, we need to go back to Fayetteville. I cannot afford this. This is ridiculous. Like, I'm never going to be able to live like this. So we moved back to Fayetteville into this tiny little place apartment on Shipley Alley, which is like pretty much right downtown Fayetteville. That place was pretty cheap. And Joy had just graduated from college as an archaeologist, so she found a job working for this archaeology company in Texas, and we were both kind of commuting back and forth for her to be able to do her job. She would be gone a lot in the week, but she would get like per diem and stuff, and they would put her up in a hotel. It was like a pretty nice situation for her. They offered her a full-time job in Dallas, and she moved to be supportive of me, so I moved to be supportive of her. So we moved to this place in Dallas right here. It was around that time when our relationship was kind of falling apart. I don't really want to go into the details. Suffice to say, I moved back to Fayetteville. Things have been going pretty well for me. When I first moved back, I was staying with my manager at the pizza place that I worked at and renting a room from her. I actually just recently, with the help of my girlfriend, was able to move into this place. Now I have my own apartment again, which is great. Except for, not that long ago, I was at work and I got in a wreck. Because I was still paying for my car, I had full coverage car insurance. Because I was working at my job at the time, they didn't cover me. And so now I have no car, and I was using my girlfriend's car to work. But then my work was like, you have to have your own insurance policy. So we called her insurance company and they basically said, you don't need to be on this policy. Her policy already covers other drivers. So basically my work is saying I need to have my own car. And so at this point, I'm back to being jobless. Here in a couple hours, I'm gonna go to try and apply for unemployment until I can hopefully find something better. But I don't have a car anymore. Even though the bank that gave me the loan for the car still says I owe money on it, and I don't have a car. It's a messed up situation. So let's just put it this way. I'm deep in the struggle. I'm not far from the bottom, so I have a long way to rise from here. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully you get to watch it. Hopefully we get to do it together.
They did the best they could do. They love me in their own way. The pain makes me who I am, but I don't blame my mom or my dad for the words that I say. I'm my own man, I don't give a damn. I'ma do my own thing, true to who I am, and the plans that I play, and the words that I say, and the things that I do with the passion won't help, okay, I'ma make my own way. She loved me in her own way. The pain makes me who I am, but I don't blame my past flame for the words that I say. I'm my own man, got my own flame. I'ma do my own thing, true to who I am, and the plans that I play, and the words that I say, and the things that I do with the passion. Love is okay, I'ma make my own way. I'ma make my own way. True to who I am, and the plans that I play, and the words that I say, and the things that I do with the passion. Life hurts, love hurts, okay, I wouldn't take back one day. I love my life anyway. I learn my lessons, update my play. We're the chosen ones, we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for, we've been waiting for, we've been waiting so much, so much. Say, I'm the higher power, I've been waiting for. I've been waiting, I've been praying, I've been searching so much more, so much more.
Alright, thanks for watching. That's it this week. Check out last week's episode, subscribe, like, support on Patreon, and also check out this video down here where I talk about my musical history. See you next week.